My name is Alara, and this happened last Christmas. It changed how I see family forever. I spent a year holding everyone together, and one holiday showed me exactly where my kids and I stood. Christmas was supposed to be safe, that's what I kept telling myself as I turned onto my parents' street. Windshield wipers pushing aside thick snowflakes that felt like they had all the time in the world. The houses looked postcard perfect, roofs dusted white, warm lights glowing behind frosted windows. The kind of scene people share online with captions about gratitude and togetherness. I wanted that lie to be true. My kids sat in the back seat, buzzing with excitement, arguing over who would get the biggest slice of pie. Their laughter filled the car, light and unguarded. I held on to that sound like a lifeline, because this year had stripped me down to the bone in ways no one seemed to notice. I had spent the last 12 months holding my family together with money, silence, and obligation. I never said the number out loud, but it lived in my chest like a weight, just over $20,000. Mortgage payments that kept foreclosure notices out of the mailbox. Truck loan installments when my dad said missing one would ruin his credit. Utility bills paid at midnight before shutoffs. Grocery runs disguised as helping out for the holidays. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself, family helps family, especially at Christmas. I told myself my kids were watching, and I wanted them to see generosity, not resentment. By the time we parked, snow was already piling up on the driveway. My kids jumped out, boots crunching happily, breath puffing into the air. I noticed how they straightened their jackets before walking up to the door, how they wiped their shoes carefully on the mat. Kids learn early when they're guests in places that are supposed to feel like home. Inside, the house smelled like baked ham, cloves, and something sweet simmering on the stove. Christmas decorations covered every surface, twinkling lights, glittering ornaments, framed photos from years I barely remembered being happy. My mom greeted us with a quick smile, distracted, already looking past me. My kids said hello, polite and soft-spoken. My dad nodded from his chair, eyes fixed on the television. Everything felt rehearsed, like we were all playing roles we didn't remember auditioning for. Dinner was set beautifully. Plates warmed, candles lit, holiday music humming low in the background. From the outside, it was the kind of family Christmas people envy. Then my sister arrived. She was late as usual. No gifts, no apology, just a dramatic sigh as she shrugged off her coat and dropped her purse onto a chair. Snow melted onto the hardwood floor beneath her boots. I swear, she said loudly, this year almost broke me. My mom rushed over instantly, concern pouring out of her like she'd been waiting for the cue. I don't know how you survived, honey. I focused on cutting my food, because if I looked up, I might say something I couldn't take back. 3 months earlier, I'd paid the bill that kept my sister's apartment lights on. No one mentioned that as we ate. I noticed the small things. My mom repositioning chairs, sliding dishes closer to my sister, asking my kids to scoot, to make room, to be accommodating. My daughter did as she was told without a word, cheeks flushing, eyes darting to me for reassurance. When children feel unwelcome, they don't complain. They try to disappear. Halfway through the meal, my mom set her fork down with careful intention. The clink of metal against china sounded louder than it should have. Maybe, she said slowly, it would be better if you took the kids home early. The room froze. My son stopped chewing, fork suspended midair. My daughter's shoulders tensed. I blinked. What? My mom folded her hands like this was a reasonable request. Your sister needs a calm night. She's been through a lot. And honestly, you bring a lot of tension with you. They're just eating dinner, I said, my voice barely steady. My sister didn't look up. I can't handle chaos right now. Chaos? My kids sat perfectly still, wide-eyed, waiting for me to explain what they had done wrong. So you want us to leave? I said. My mom nodded. It's Christmas. We don't want drama. I stood, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Did my children do something wrong? No, she said quickly, then hesitated. But what? She exhaled, irritated now, and said the sentence that finally tore the curtain down. Your sister deserves this more than you do. Something inside me went quiet. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I helped my kids into their coats, tying scarves with shaking hands. My daughter whispered, terrified, Mom, are we in trouble? No, I said instantly. Never. At the door, my mom didn't hug them. She didn't apologize. She closed the door, The snow had turned vicious, wind slicing through our coats. My kids huddled close as we walked to the car, their excitement gone, replaced by confusion and shame. They shouldn't have known how to feel. No one came after us. I drove home in silence. Streetlights blurring through tears. I refused to let fall until my kids were asleep. That night, after leftovers and forced smiles and bedtime stories, I sat alone at the kitchen table. The house was quiet, snow rattling against the windows like a reminder. I opened my laptop. Mortgage payment scheduled. Truck loan scheduled. Utilities scheduled. All of it was still running. That's when the truth hit me with brutal clarity. I wasn't helping them because they couldn't survive without me. I was helping them because it was easier than facing how little I mattered. I canceled every payment, not out of revenge, not out of spite, out of exhaustion. The snowstorm intensified overnight, roads closing, power lines straining under the weight. My phone lit up the next morning while I made pancakes for my kids, pretending Christmas hadn't cracked something open forever. I didn't answer at first. By midday, my sister texted, furious. What did you do? I stopped. I replied. She called immediately. The mortgage bounced. Dad's truck payment failed. The electric company called twice. Yes, I said calmly. I know. You can't just abandon them. So could you explain, I asked, why my children were abandoned first? She scoffed. You're really blowing up the family over one dinner? I closed my eyes. I'm responding to years. When my mom called, she cried. When my dad called, he was angry. When extended family called, they were shocked. They hadn't known. They assumed my parents were managing. They assumed things were fine. They weren't fine. They were funded. 3 days later, my parents stood on my porch, snow clinging to their coats. Pride finally stripped away. We need help, my mom said quietly. I thought of my kids standing in the snow. Door slammed behind them. I already helped, I said. I didn't cut them off forever. I reset the rules. Clear boundaries. No favoritism. No guilt. No silence. And if my children were ever treated as less than again, the help would end without discussion. They agreed because they had no other choice. Christmas came and went. The snow melted. Something else did to the fear that had kept me compliant. My kids changed. They stopped apologizing for existing. They laughed louder. They took up space again. That was my real Christmas gift. I didn't ruin Christmas. I stopped letting it be used against me, because family loyalty that costs your dignity isn't loyalty, and generosity that demands invisibility isn't love. Sometimes the most powerful gift you give your children is choosing them, especially when no one else will. And sometimes, the storm doesn't destroy you. It clears the way. Family doesn't get to hurt you just because it's a holiday. Subscribe for more powerful, real-life inspired stories you won't forget.